Hello everybody, and this is kind of a tutorial guide here on just how to use custom models. I've also made my own werewolf model here that I'm going to have a link for you there below, and we'll do some samples with that too, and I'll give you some prompts and stuff I've been using with it. And now I haven't posted anything on this, but also the 1.5 notebook has come out, or excuse me, not the notebook, the 1.5 Stable Diffusion model that we can use. You can use it with the Deforum notebook. You can also use it with automatic 111, and I'm going to be doing a guide on that soon too. Also, I'm still kind of learning that a little bit myself. But this page right here will take you to the new 1.5 checkpoint that we can use for stable diffusion. There's also this in painting one. I actually haven't tried this one just because the Deform Notebook does have in painting already in it. But let's go ahead. So what you want to do is go ahead and click on one of these. These 1.5s are the new one. The 1.4 I believe is the one that already comes with yeah, this comes with it by default. So the 1.5 we'll have to download and use it as a custom model, and I've already got that, but you can click on here and this will take you to this page where you can just download it by clicking here, and I believe it's about 4 gigs. And then go ahead and get that, and then you just want to upload it to your Google Drive somewhere. Okay, and I just loaded everything up like normal. Then when we get to this part here, we just want to pick, instead of one of these defaults, we want to go ahead and pick custom. And then I've just downloaded it and placed it here on my Google Drive so that I can access it. And I believe, whoops, I think it's here under my stable diffusion weights. Yeah, the 1.5 model right there. And then I can just copy the path there and paste it. And then you can use the same technique here for any models. You see I've got my wolf model, my dragon model, my sorceress model here. But I'll go ahead and load up the 1.5 here, and I'll just show you real quick. This one is particularly, it's a lot better at eyes. I notice the eyes look a lot better now. Okay, so again, what we do is we just locate whatever kind of custom model we want to use. If we're using a model that's anything other than these ones that come with the notebook, you just hit custom, right click it here, hit copy path, and then just paste it over here in the custom checkpoint path. And that's all you need is this checkpoint, this CKPT file. That's usually all you need on these models. And then I'm just going to go ahead and run this and load it up here. And again, I have those links down there below. You can get one of these versions. There is a couple more there. If you notice, there's quite a few here. Here's the 1.5 version. There's the checkpoint one here, and then the in painting one. And I believe I just got the pruned one. Let's see here. Yeah, I think I got this one, the smaller one. But let's go ahead now and go ahead and load this. We'll play with this a little bit, and then I'll go ahead and show you the werewolf model that I also will have a link here for you. Okay, and like I said, the main difference between the 1.5 model, if you haven't got this, I think this has been out a couple weeks now. So I was a little busy this last week. I didn't keep up on stuff like I normally do, but that's all changing now. And I just have a portrait of a male wizard here. And again, the main difference is the eyes. This one doesn't have, you still will get the weird eyes, kind of, the cross-eyed and just the kind of glitchy eyes. This one seems to handle making eyes a lot better, though. You don't get near as many of them, I would say. Okay, and there we go. I'm just doing a portrait of a wizard here. If you can notice, the eyes there are pretty symmetrical, compared to what we can get quite a lot. And I didn't even use an artist really here or modifier. Well, I got ArtStation, DeviantArt, and Studio Portrait, but I'm not using any specific artist or anything here for this. Just kind of showing you the 1.5. And if you notice, even without any editing or anything, all of these eyes really look pretty normal compared to what we can get quite a bit with the regular model. So that's one of the good things about this. Just in general, I think it looks a little cleaner. And they definitely did something to get those eyes to work a lot better. Because if you notice, all 5 of these, really, we could post this just like that without editing. So that is the 1.5 model. And now let's go ahead and let me go ahead and load up my werewolf model here for you. And I've got a link down below there where you can download it. And what I've called this one is Wolf 1. And I'm going to go ahead and just copy my path here and paste it. And this is actually the same path that I'm going to make available here for everybody. And I've got a link down below there where you can download this from Google Drive. Okay, so again, I've just copied and pasted the path here. Now you can also use this because I've turned it into a checkpoint file here. You can use it with this, with the Deforum notebook. You can also use it on automatic 111. So any of those checkpoint models you can use. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a couple prompts here. Now the prompt that I used to actually pull this up is kind of a customized word I made here just so it wouldn't conflict with the regular wolf. So it's wolf1 with a U. And I'm just going to go ahead and run a few batches of this to just kind of give you an idea of the flavor of the model. I've just trained it with werewolf images. And we'll just do a batch here, and I'm using the DDIM and only 30 steps here. We'll just do a batch here of 5. And if you notice, I didn't even put werewolf or anything there. I just put my instance prompt there, which is wolf1, WULF, and I'll have a README file as well, just in case you forget that. And I'll also probably include some setting files with some of these prompts here. And there we go. There's our first image. You do get this double teeth sometime every once in a while, fortunately, but there we go. That one looks a little better. And so this is just the prompt, nothing else. No modifiers or anything, just the wolf one. And this just kind of shows you what kind of image it's going to create when you throw that in there. And it'll look a lot better too once we add some modifiers and things like that in there. This is just kind of showing you, it's just kind of an amalgamation of the images, the werewolf images that I trained it with right now. And now you can also do a wolf one werewolf. That's another way that'll give us a little different flavor here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. I'm just going to put wolf one werewolf. And this will mix in a little bit more of the kind of standard werewolves that we're used to. And then I have some prompts here we can try out as well. Okay, and there is our wolf one werewolf. And if you want to try this out too and compare like a werewolf with this model to the regular one, you can go ahead and run these prompts first before you use this model just to kind of get a comparison. But it definitely kind of has its own sort of flavor here to it. And I'm not sure why these kind of cards come up. It looks like it's a Magic the Gathering or something, but I didn't include any images like that. I think those are just taken from the GAN space out there, the rest of the world. So anyways, this is kind of a fun model. I made a dragon model too. I really like kind of using it as a modifier too for human people. But let's go ahead and go to this next one here. I'll show you a good kind of prompt here just to get started. Okay, so I made this prompt just to kind of show you what it looks like too in a more kind of an art style. So I've just got Wolf One by Raphael Olbinski, who's kind of a surreal artist. And this is just kind of a flat matte look. This isn't really complex prompt or anything. They just show you the kind of, when you add the artist in there, you really kind of get different styles once you start adding the artists and the modifiers and things to this model. And so here you can see this really kind of gives it an almost children's storybook looking effect to it with this artist, and really you can kind of come up with some cool images using that. And then you throw in your other modifiers, and then I just kind of wanted to show you an example of some different ways you can use this model. And this artist here is, again, Raphael Olbinski, who is kind of a surreal artist. And let me go ahead and go to the next one now. Okay, and here I've added in a couple more things to kind of show you too that I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. We'll see here. Sometimes the scale's a little off, like it'll show up as really big, the wolf. But I've got wolf one in a Victorian city street lit by moonlight, matte painting, concept art, and he's kind of a flat sword artist, not a real 3D look here. So this is kind of the same thing as the last one. Let's go ahead and run this. And then we'll get into some more complex prompts here and a little bit more realistic stuff in a bit here too. But I'm basically just showing you some samples here what this werewolf model does. That way you can decide, if you want to download it or not. I did cut it down to 2 gigs using the FP16 compression. So it does lose a little bit of quality there using this compared to the regular model, but it'll be much quicker download. It's only about 2 gigs to download this file here. And you see now the kind of wolf character is kind of small, and in the background there's Victorian Street. There's one. You can kind of see it there. And what you can also do, you can also, like we use the werewolf there, we can throw in the wolf one werewolf, where the wolf one kind of acts as a modifier in itself. Let's go ahead and see if these all kind of turned out the same. I just got on random. Yeah, well, there's one where you can kind of tell that's a little closer. But I threw in wolf one werewolf here for this one. Let's go ahead and run this one. Again, I'm just kind of showing you some samples here of this model so you can decide if you want to download it. Okay, and there you see it does change it quite a bit when I throw in that werewolf, the wolf one werewolf. It makes it a lot bigger there, kind of more prominent. So you can use it as a modifier for werewolf, or you can use it by itself. But those are the main two keywords to use with the model. So how I trained it was the wolf one, that's the instance prompt, and then the class is werewolf. That's the class that it was trained under. Okay, so far I've kind of shown you some flat images. Let's go ahead and do one that's a little more 3D here. So another cool thing here, something I actually like doing better than just making the werewolf by itself. That one came out kind of cool. Sometimes you get extra legs and stuff. But it works really good as a modifier for like portraits and things. So you can like fuse it if you have like a character portrait you already have made up. Let me go ahead and put this one in here. And I'll go ahead and paste this, but I've got a wolf one fused with a goth woman with flowing black hair portrait, sharp focus, etc., etc. And then I've got some artists in there. And this really I really kind of like doing this even better than just making the regular werewolf. So let's go ahead and run this. Here it is mixed with the woman portrait, you can see. And sometimes it comes out separately, but there you can see it's kind of a mixture of a person and a werewolf. So I kind of like doing these. Some of these turn out kind of cool. Like that one's pretty good there. So this is kind of, like I said, this is kind of my favorite use of this model actually. I kind of like making the werewolves, but I did the same thing with my dragon models. I started fusing it with people. Like that one looks pretty cool there. So this is another use for the model. You can just use it as kind of a modifier for some of your prompts you might already have or other things. Okay, and for this one I've got a wolf one werewolf in a desert landscape under moonlight by Peter Grick, etc. And I'll either post the prompts in here. I might just make a readme file with all the prompts here that I got for this video, and I'll give these to you along with the model to download. And here's just some other ways you can use it. So there we've got him in a desert, but you really get a different effect too by using different artists. Like I notice, like Carol Bach, he draws a lot of portraits of women with like crazy hair and stuff. Any kind of artist where you get hair effects in it is really good, or kind of fine details. Like Peter Grick has kind of a lot of kind of strand details, but you notice his looks kind of realistic there. And we're getting some pretty good images there with this one. So I'll definitely include this one in the list. There we go. He's like doing a dance. Go over that way. I don't know what that one is. Yeah, but you can see you can actually use this model in quite a few different ways, in as a modifier for kind of flat, almost storybook looking images. Then you can just use it like this for a traditional kind of werewolf. And then usually wind up getting the moon. I don't know if I put werewolf in here or if I just did the wolf one. Yeah, I did put werewolf. Anytime you use werewolf, you're going to get the moon quite a bit. Okay, here's another one. This is another kind of a flat one. I've got a wolf one werewolf in a lush jungle. Okay, and here this prompt again. This one is a wolf one werewolf in a lush jungle under moonlight. And then I've got Rob Gonsalves there and some other modifiers. Again, I'll include this in the README. But you can see this one has kind of its own kind of unique sort of style too. I kind of like that one. And there we go with those fronds and everything. So this is one of the ways you can use the model. And let's go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, my idea with this one was kind of like the portraits where I kind of have it fused with other elements. So this one I've got a wolf one man wearing knight armor with ruby engravings, etc., etc. So this one's kind of similar to the portrait idea where I just kind of fuse it with some other prompts I've used in the past. Okay, and so again, this idea here behind this prompt is kind of a fusion of that wolf one. I'm just kind of using that as a modifier here with a knight armors, and that one came out pretty good. I kind of like that one. That one too, yeah. So this one's kind of a cool one too. So this is just kind of, again, I'm just kind of showing you some different ways to use this model. And that one's pretty cool too. That came out pretty good batch. Again, these are all just kind of random seeds. I just have it on -1. And let's go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, and this one I just got the Wolf one, and I have a couple artists here that are kind of sort of, I'd say, semi pretty realistic artists. Carol Bach again does the crazy stuff with hair, so he's a real good one to use with this Wolf one model, just because it does have a lot of hair. So this one is just Wolf one by the two artists. Okay, and this batch is done, so you can also use it for kind of traditional fantasy sort of art, like that one. And yeah, it does pretty good too. It really kind of handles a lot of different styles. This model like turned out pretty good for one of my, I think this is the third model I've made now. I'm going to continue to make these. I'm going to make two every month for my Patreon, and then I'm probably going to make it one a month for YouTube as well, like this one. So, and I'll just keep getting better at them as I make them. But this kind of, I like that style right there. You know, that's kind of more for fantasy art, traditional style. Let's see what the next one is here. Okay, and this one is a Wolf 1 in a hedge maze of a Victorian manor, God Rays, Unreal Engine, etc., etc. And then I've got an artist name in there. We'll go ahead and run this batch and see how this one goes. Okay, so with this one, I kind of wanted to also show you what happens if you use it for like that kind of video game look, like with Unreal Engine. And so that first one, that's kind of weird. And that one looks a little fake, but you can see that it also, you can use it for any kind of style here. That one's a little better. Let me scroll this one down a bit. That last one's pretty good. That's probably the best one. Again, you kind of get these double teeth every once in a while. I'm not sure what causes that. But let's go ahead and go on to the next one now. So this one used the Unreal Engine, Octane render, that kind of stuff. So for this one, I picked statues, and it actually turned out pretty cool. I kind of like these statues as well. So I really like to experiment with the prompts here, and that one turned out pretty good. So yeah, if you guys use this model, please by all means show me the link. Show me what you're making with it, and that one turned out kind of realistic. Gave us 4 there for that one, huh? Okay, and those turned out pretty good. Let's see what I got for the next one here. I think for this one, I stuck with the statues idea, but I think I embellished it a bit with a lot more modifiers and stuff. Yeah, so this one I've kind of got the same thing, but I've got, okay, yeah, the same one. I just added in, I think I added in Unreal Engine and volumetric lighting, a few more modifiers. For this one, let's see how this one changes it. Okay, so for this one, I just added in a little bit of that kind of 3D effect. I think I liked the last one better, actually. Yeah, that one came out all right. So this one was kind of the same idea, but I added in the Unreal Engine, Octane render, that kind of thing. Let's see what we got coming up next. I've got a list here that I'm drawing all these from, and I'll include the list too with the model. Okay, let's see what's next here. And I'll include this list too. I got a list here of some prompts I was playing around with for this model. And this one, I kind of just used it as a modifier. A Wolf one fused with Cthulhu, Lovecraftian horror. So this one is kind of just really just straight up using it as a modifier. We're not trying to get a werewolf here at all. We're just kind of looking for something different. Okay, and let's see what we got here. Again, this is a Wolf 1 fused with Cthulhu, Lovecraftian horror, cosmic horror, etc., etc. And it is Halloween after all, so let's look at these. Yeah, so these kind of give us some kind of unique looking creatures there with this model. Oh, I like that last one. That kind of has a nice kind of dramatic big Cthulhu monster there feel to it. And let's see what we got coming up next here. I got a list here, and I'm going to go ahead and include this list here with all the prompts and everything with the model on my Google Drive. Okay, so this next one looks like it's again a fusion of the wolf and a man for this one. Okay, for this one I've just got wolf one man with flowing black hair and amber eyes. Again, this is a fusion between the wolf one model and a person. Okay, and there we go. And again, this one was, let me go look at this again. It is Wolf One Man with flowing black hair and ember eyes. And then we've got the artist. This is really a pretty simple prompt, but we got kind of a good classic looking werewolf one there. And then we got some weird arms there. And that one's not bad either. And then we've got a four-armed werewolf thing there. Okay, let's see what we got for the next one. Okay, next one here, we got kind of the same thing, but we've got a woman here, a wolf one woman here with, or we've got wolf one fused with woman here. So there is a little bit difference. If you put fused, you can get kind of a better effect. If you're just getting more of a person and you want more of the wolf, then use fused with, and that can work sometimes a little better. So we've got Wolf 1 fused with woman with flowing black hair and amber eyes by Relia Slabby. And she's a photography artist, so these turn out pretty photorealistic usually. I think I meant amber there instead of ember, so we got kind of red eyes there instead of amber. That's all right. Yep, so there we go. That's a good example there of a fusion between a person and a wolf. Okay, for the next one, I've kind of got a little bit more of the same, but I've got a little more intricate here with the prompt. We got a little more complex here. So here we've got, and again, I'm going to include all these prompts, so I'm not going to read them all off, but I've got basically a wolf one woman for this one and a lot of modifiers there after it. But these portrait ones usually turn out pretty good. And I'm just using the DDIM sampler right now. You know what? I'll go ahead and run the ancestral too. You get really different kind of look too with the sampler if you change that. Sometimes you get some really good ones from the DPM ancestral one. And there we go. We've got that one with the wolf-like qualities, though, the werewolf qualities, sort of. Okay, and let's take a look at this batch. And there we've got some good kind of Halloween looking images for Halloween there. Yeah, so these are the ones I like. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, for this one, looks like we're going back to the traditional werewolf look, but I've got a lot of modifiers in here, kind of similar. I think it might be the same artist. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, well, yep, same artist, I think. This one is a Wolf 1 Werewolf. So here we're using that werewolf again. Again, that is the class name, but the instance prompt is that Wolf 1, that WULF1. That's what will give you the main effect of this model. Okay, and again, this prompt, we're going more for that kind of classical werewolf, which is what was the intention of this model in the first place. That one came out pretty good. Yeah, there we go. So there's some more of the standard werewolf. Sometimes too, you'll get like extra limbs and things like that, or an extra set of teeth. So you can just run, bigger batches. But that one turns out pretty good. Now again, I'm going to include this with the other ones. And this one is a Wolf 1 Werewolf. So it really changes the look when you put that werewolf in there. You get a lot more of the normal, the traditional kind of werewolf. Okay, now here's one too. Sometimes I don't get the effect that I want. I might have a prompt where I'm trying to do something and I get something else though that still kind of looks kind of cool. So I included this one. I was actually trying to do an art gallery with images of the wolf in it, but what it wound up giving me was kind of just the wolf inside of an art. You can't really tell it's an art gallery, but I have the interior of a Wolf One art gallery by Daniel F. Gearhart. So I'll go ahead and run this. And again, this is random. I just got the seed on -1, so I'm not sure what kind of images we're going to get, but the ones I got didn't look like an art gallery. We'll see what it looks like this time. It kind of had a bunch of wolves in it, and kind of like, I don't know what it was. It was just kind of weird looking, but it looked cool. So we'll go ahead and run this. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this artist really has a really nice classical kind of a style too, and really, really good detailed images here. Yeah, there we go. So we're just getting kind of these wolf creatures hanging around inside of. It doesn't even really look like an art gallery; it just looks like a mansion or something. But you really get these kind of epic looking scenes with this prompt, and it's a real simple prompt too. I was just trying to see if I get some paintings of it. It's just the interior of a Wolf One art gallery by Daniel Gearhartz. And that looks kind of cool. Looks like, so that's what this one gave us. So this one was just kind of, didn't really give the effect I wanted, but it still was kind of a cool prompt. So I'm going to experiment with this a little bit more later. Definitely with that artist. That artist really gives this model a really nice look there. Let's see what I got next on the list here. Okay, so this one again is one of my favorites, the female portrait, the goth woman fused with the wolf. And then I've got a bunch more. But this one also, if you notice, I put a goth woman here instead of just a woman, so you can actually use those modifiers like cyberpunk, steampunk, and throw those in there as well. Any kind of prompts you've had in the past, you can add them in here. But these always come out kind of cool looking. And did I use fused with on this one? Yeah, I have fused with on this one. Okay. There's another thing too we could use those weights for is to amp up our werewolf section of it, but that looks kind of cool there. So let's go ahead and let's modify this a bit. Let's do steampunk here, just for the heck of it. I haven't tried this yet. And then I've got a few more like these. I'll go ahead and we'll run some of those really quick. Then I've also got a couple where I just show some other fusions you can do with it, like a wolf one fused with the elephant, that kind of thing. Mainly, I'm just kind of showing you messing around. I'm just kind of showing you me messing around here with the model. This isn't really a guide or anything. It's just to kind of show you what the model does. So by all means, experiment with it. And I just kind of want to show you what it does. That way you can decide if you think it's worth the download. This model is only about 2 gigs because again, I did compress it with that FP16. And then sometimes you get this. You'll get like a little bit of both elements, the wolf and the woman, instead of the fusion of them. Okay, so that was with the steampunk. I think I like the goth better. That kind of fit better. Let's see what the next one is here. Okay, so most of the rest of these prompts, with a couple of exceptions, this is basically kind of the same thing. I just swap out the artist in the end here. That can really give you a different effect depending on what artist is. So let's go ahead and try this next one. Okay, here we go. And again, these are pretty similar. This is still kind of a similar prompt. I think I just swapped out the artist and I put a couple other things in there. But we're getting still that kind of nice, kind of gothic look along with the werewolf look fusion there. And what was I going to? Oh yeah, let's try it with the one of the other samplers. Let's try it with the DPM2 Ancestral. This really kind of gives it a different look. It takes a little longer. These don't render as quick, but sometimes I like these better than the DDIM or the KLMS sampler. Like that one turned out pretty good. See, she has the wolf arm there, and just looks like a little more detail sometimes than the DDIM. Definitely has a different kind of a feel for it. There we go. Yeah, those came out pretty good. So you can also just switch up that sampler. Again, I think this one generally has come out the best. The DPM, which is this one again? The DPM2 Ancestral. And then I've got some more. Let me do a couple more here, and I'll probably include some in that file I include. I'll just include like a notebook file that'll have a few more that are kind of similar, but with some good artists also. But yeah, and here's something else you can do also if you want to. I kind of did a study where I'll just put in the whatever it is I'm using, and then I'll just put by and then use some different artists. So I just want to show you how different you can test this out. So I've just got Wolf One by Mark Poole here. This will really kind of show you what will be a good artist to use for depending on what style you want. Oh, you know what? Let me switch this back to DDIM though, just so we can render it faster. Okay, so I just got Wolf One by Mark Poole. So you can get, there's a lot of artist guide out there with a lot of artists, dead and living. I try to use dead artists when I can, but you really get a different look from the artist quite a bit, by the style that they have. Like this is by Mark Poole. If you notice this, you get these really fine lines, and this is just this artist just I thought gave it a really cool kind of look here. And so like let me show a different one here. I'll just in comparison, just so you can see how different it changes it when you do that. Okay, so I'm just going to use like Salvador Dali for this one, somebody who draws a little flatter. So if you want to just try that on the model, just put Wolf 1 by, and then you can just go down the list, kind of make your own kind of artist study, and see which artists give it what kind of look. And certain ones will have a more realistic look, other ones will look kind of more flatter. This is Salvador Dali, the famous surreal artist, so these will probably look a little bit distorted. Yeah, so just whatever you're going for, you can just go down the list. Like, we could even do like H.R. Geiger, that kind of thing. Just whatever, whatever kind of look you're going for. Just try different artists, and maybe it'll give you that kind of look. That was kind of interesting. That one's pretty cool. Okay, let's go ahead and try H.R. Geiger. I actually don't think I've tried him on this. I don't think I've tried Dr. Seuss either. We should try Dr. Seuss. Okay, we're doing H.R. Geiger here. Okay, now we've got just Wolf 1 by H.R. Geiger. And that one actually has some color in it. That's pretty unusual for a Geiger one. And that one came out cool. Yeah, so he's actually pretty good. He of course is, the famous inventor of the biomechanical art form, did a lot of airbrush, really intricate, detailed airbrushes. And he designed, did a lot of concept art, like for the Alien movie, which was actually the concept art they used to make Alien. He had actually originally done for Jodorowsky's Dune, the original director they had for the Dune movie. That was actually concept art for that. But then when Jodorowsky they replaced him with David Lynch. They H.R. Geiger still had all these concept pictures they liked, and they wound up making Alien with it instead of Dune. So that's a little bit of trivia there for that. But that one came out good. Okay, I just got one more thing here to show you can do also with this model. So you can also just do this, and not just with this model, just with anything. You can always fuse things together. So like here, I've got a wolf one mixed with a elephant. And so I always, this is still so new. It's really cool to just experiment with these prompts sometimes and see what you get. So I did this, and I kind of like the elephant. Once some of these came out good, we'll see how these look. So there we go. There we have our wolf one and our elephant. And I don't have any other kind of modifiers in there. I'm just kind of letting this one go wild here. And there's another one. Yeah, so if you do use this model, please send me any links you got for anything you've created with it. I always love to check out what people are doing. And I will have some more of these coming as well, especially if people like this model. I don't really know what the reception of this will be, but if people like them, I will continue to make these models and these videos here. And thank you very much for watching. I've got the link down below. Okay, so I do hope you enjoy this. And I also want to give a big shout out to KaneMayfield, who had me on a podcast this last Friday. And that was a lot of fun. That was a great show. And I'll be tuning into his show for sure from now on. And thank you very much for watching. And I will have some more stuff coming soon. I'm going to go over the Deforum, the version for the Auto 111 with the Deforum. I am working on that. I'm still kind of learning that myself, but I should have that finished soon. And I hope you guys do like this model. If you do make some stuff with it, please send me a link right down there in the comments. Thank you for watching. I will have some more stuff coming soon.